What's going on, everybody? It's your boy White Trash Trucker, and I'm coming at you all today with another fresh to death White Trash Trucker video. If you like this channel, if you like this White Trash Trucker content, please like, share, and of course, subscribe. The title of today's video is a few things to think about before being an owner-operator. Now, for those of you all that have been watching my channel for quite a while, you all probably aware that I was an owner-operator for close to 3 years, and I got out of the business about 6, 7, 8 months ago. And so I'm going to try not to hate too much on being an owner operator today. I've really made peace with the situation, but I wanted to talk about a few things that I think that everybody really needs to consider before getting into being an owner operator. So oftentimes, people, when they get into being an owner operator, it's not really a well thought out decision. It's more like an opportunity arises for them to lease a truck or rent a truck. To make some money. Their friends are making a lot of money, and they just kind of jump in the game, and it's a really short-sighted decision, and that's how it was for me. And of course, I always tell people, no matter what you do in trucking, whether you're starting a new job as a company driver, you're getting to be an owner-operator, you're never going to know until you go. You're not going to know until you go. So ain't nobody that's going to be able to, you're not going to never know what it's really like to be an owner-operator until you do it. But here are a few things I think that people really, really need to consider before being an owner-operator. Now, the first two things I jotted down was an ever-changing market and losing money. But I'm going to combine these two and talk about these two at the same time. And there's a really good comparison that I think that you could make. Being an owner-operator and getting into the trucking game or getting into business in general, but especially the trucking game, since I know about it, it's like going to Vegas, yo. It's not even like going to Vegas because Vegas is glamorous. It's more like going to, It's more like going to Southlands Gaming Casino off I-40 in West Memphis, Tennessee. It's not no nice casino. You can win some money and you can lose some money. The scenery ain't all that great, but that's really the type of casino you're in. You ain't in no fucking, regardless of what a lot of these truckers want to think, you ain't gambling your money over at Caesar's Palace. You're over here, you're over here at Southlands Gaming Casino or some other smaller like kind of casino, and this is where you're trying to make your money in trucking. And so anyways, it's very much like that. It's where you walk into a casino, and it, depending on when you get in and when you get out, is really going to determine whether you consider your trucking business a success or not. When I got into trucking or whatever, I got in at a really good time. And when I got out at a really bad time. And so for me, I ended up losing money. Whenever I got into being an owner operator, I had $35,000 clean in the bank, put $15,000 down on the truck. And when I got out of the game, I had to settle with the bank. I had to give the truck back. I had to settle with the bank for $7,500. So that's like over 20 G's right there. Now, mind you, over the 3 years, close to 3 years, I was an owner operator. I didn't really make much money that whole time. So when everything was said and done, I made no real money for 3 years. No real money. I'm not saying I didn't make anything. Of course, I was paying my bills and stuff like that. But when I got done, my bank account had no real money in it, yo. By the time I got done paying my taxes and all the expenses, and I got in and out of the business. So when I came into the game, I had 35 G's at the bank. When I left the game, I had like 5 or 6 G's. You know what I mean? That's it. So I really lost about $20-some thousand. If I would have just walked away from that lease purchase at MGR. And that's a good thing about these, walk away leases, that you can walk away from the game a lot quicker and a lot cleaner. Hey, this shit ain't working out anymore. I'm done. You walk away, you know what I mean? But if you're being a real owner operator and you got, your truck is, the note is with the bank, it's not that simple, yo. You got to put money down, and to get out, you're going to have to probably settle with the bank as well. And that's what being a real owner operator is all about. So you have to realize that you can lose money in trucking. You can lose everything that you made. You can make a lot of money, you can lose it all and then some. There's always an ever-changing market in trucking. I talk about this a lot. Now, there are portions of the trucking industry that are less volatile than others, maybe like car hauling or furniture hauling, heavy haul, specialized, different things like this. But the broad strokes, the majority of the industry is a very volatile industry. Like I said, it's for instance, when I got into the trucking business, it was doing great. and then it was shit for like a year and a half, and then I got out whenever COVID happened. Now, if I would have stayed in, I'd be telling, oh man, it's great again, and I knew it was going to come back. And that's the cycle. It's all about when you get in, when you get out. The question is you have to ask yourself is, hey, in this business cycle, am I really making more money than I would be making just at a company job? That's the key. That's the key to whether the business is successful. Not the fact whether you just made 8 G's this week. The question is, did you make more money over the last 3 years being a company driver or an owner-operator? And if you made more being an owner-operator, how much more did you really make? After you factor in absolutely everything, how much did you really make more than being a company driver? You know what I mean? Was it the $50,000 and $60,000 more every year that you were thinking of? Or was it maybe like a couple G's more, maybe 8 or 10 G's? And I'm not saying that's a small amount of money. I'm just saying, when we talk about the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is responsibility, you have to ask yourself, hey, is it all really worth it? Because there's an ever-changing market in the trucking business that you really have to be aware of. You have to be aware that for most people, there's not any one place that you can really go. It's not as simple as going to Landstar. Although, maybe you go to Landstar and maybe you're one of them guys who make good connections with the agents or something like that. I've talked to guys like that, and they say that's the key. But it's not as simple as just going to Landstar or just going to Schneider. Because even Landstar and Schneider are affected by the market as well. The market is the market, and being an owner-operator, whether you're leased onto a company or whether you have your own authority, you're going to feel the market at some point in time. Because even dedicated freight, that's up for negotiation every 6 months, and dedicated freight goes up and down as well. Spot market freight goes up and down. So you have to just be aware of that. You know what I mean? That, you're always going to be the market is always subject to change, and you're always going to be combating the market. That's it. You're always going to have to be looking for a way to survive. All right, more or less. Now, sometimes you can get into really good situations where you have to do a lot less of that, but overall, that's one of the things. And the last thing that you really have to be aware of is responsibility. There's so much more responsibility to being an owner-operator than what people like to talk about. The first one is that you have to pay your own taxes. You have to keep up with all the paperwork, and you have to pay taxes, and you have to pay both parts of Social Security. You don't have health care. You don't have a retirement plan. You don't have any of that stuff that you get from a company, a W-2 employer. So you have to keep up with all the paperwork. You have to keep up with all the paperwork. You have to do taxes. You really need to be doing them quarterly. And mind you, a lot of owner-operators, they don't even be doing their taxes like they should. You know what I mean? And then most of all, you're responsible for the truck and all the maintenance on the truck and all the repairs on the truck. And whenever the truck is down, you're not getting paid. You're not making any money. You're not even making the lousy $100 the truck breaks down for me. I only get $100 a day in like a hotel room, but you don't even get that. You're getting nothing, and you're dishing out, probably $1,000. You know what I mean? $2,000. God forbid something serious goes wrong. $10,000, like DEF system or transmission or engine, or even something as simple as like a knock sensor. You know what I mean? It's like $1,000, $600 for the knock sensor, and like, maybe $300 in labor. And same thing, towing. And so there's a lot of responsibility involved with owning a truck and running your own business. So you have to be aware that you can lose money. You have to be aware that the market is always changing. You also have to be aware that there's more responsibility involved. So these are just some things for you to be thinking of. Now, being an owner-operator, as I said, you can make a lot of money. I always tell people, listen, if you're going to get into being an owner-operator, the best thing to do is to try and get into one of the more niche things. Being a car hauler, doing furniture, doing heavy haul, specialized. Try and do something like that, or try and move into doing something like that. Try and get away from just doing dry box or even reefer. You know what I mean? Although you can make, a little bit more money in reefer sometimes, you also have to be aware that, hey, you have a trailer, you have a big unit that can go down. You have to pay for reefer fuel. The trailers are more expensive, and the actual refrigeration unit can also fuck up. So you'd have to be getting that repaired. So there's more expenses to having that reefer trailer to get paid that 20 to 25 cents more on average that you would make for being a reefer. And the same thing with flatbed. You can make more money with flatbed, and depending on where I have a friend that's an owner operator, he does flatbed, and he makes good money, and he's home almost every day in Mississippi. He lives in Mississippi. You know what I mean? Depending on where you live, flatbed could be good, but of course you're gonna have to tarp, you're gonna have to work harder, and it's just, there's more job risk. So, you have to look at all the pros and cons of everything. But those are just a few things that I think are good things to think about before being an owner operator. So I hope this video finds you well. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. If you're, probably by the time you're watching this, it's so far from Thanksgiving. Anyways, peace, y'all. Take it easy.